So just to give an overview of today's agenda, we're gonna first start with a very brief introduction from our attendees and our panelists. So just sort of giving your name, the town you're coming from, and business, and the organization. Then around 11:15 or so, my hope is we'll hear from our panelists about what they do to support businesses. They'll probably give a 4 to 5 minute overview of what they do. And then around 11:45, we'll open it up to hear questions from our audience. So all of the folks who are joining, who are business owners, who are from chambers, everybody except the panelists, but the panelists are also welcome to ask questions of one another. This really is a good networking time. And then at 11:55, in the last 5 minutes or so, we'll hear closing remarks and comments from our panelists, who will share upcoming events, classes, and grant opportunities that they and their organizations will be offering in the near future. So at that, we're going to start off by doing introductions. So you've heard enough from me. And I think what I'll do is I'll go around the table from my left and on, and then we'll go online and I will call on folks just so it's not an awkward popcorn situation. So, Mike.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Michael Tomko. I am a general contractor and an architectural designer. I work and live in Booth Bay Harbor. I also am fortunate enough to be a selectman in Booth Bay Harbor, as well as serving on the Regional Planning Commission. So I appreciate the work that Alex is doing along with Curtis and Laura and Emily, and welcome. I'm glad that everyone's here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing everything that Alex has put together for us today. Thank you.
My name is Chauncey Erskine. Newfound transplant with a month and change business in Wisconsin called Panelists, which is the eatery and chowder house. And I'm looking to become more involved in the local community here in this town, as well as in this wonderful county. So excited to be here.
I'm Eric McIntyre. I have a store down on Water Street. It's called Village Handcraft. It's a hand tool workshop and craft space. It's my production handwork space, and then I teach classes there. Primarily, I make woodenware and brooms in that space, and teach those classes and have a few other associated classes. Mostly in the winter and springtime. So this is class season.
I'm Pat Cloutier. I'm the executive chamber director of the Maine of the Wiscasset Area Chamber of Commerce, and of course, our whole deal is promoting our businesses and partners in our community.
My name is Dan Reed. I'm with SCORE Maine, which is a nonprofit that provides mentoring and small business workshops absolutely for free to folks here in Maine.
I'm Jenn Dobransky. I'm the business advisor for the Maine Small Business Development Center.
I'm Marissa Henkel. I'm a procurement counselor with Maine Apex. So we assist businesses with government contracting primarily.
I'm Jim Lindsay, and I'm the owner of the barn in Jefferson with my wife. It's the largest barn in Lincoln County, and I think possibly Maine. You're welcome to come out May 3rd. Come out and visit.
My name is Aaron Krastowski. I work for the town of Wiscasset, and my job too is to help small business development. I'm pleased to be here.
My name is Kirsten Flores. I am the marketing coordinator at the Booth Bay Harbor Region Chamber of Commerce. My job is to tell the world about what our businesses are doing and to invite everyone to come visit us.
And I'm Lisa Walby. I'm the executive director at the Booth Bay Harbor Region Chamber of Commerce. So ditto on everything Kirsten said, as well as I have a small business and my husband also has a small business in Booth Bay.
Everyone, my name is Curtis Brown. I work here at Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission, and I cover land use and transportation.
And I'm Laura Graziano. I'm the community resilience planner here with Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission.
All right, thanks everyone in the room. Time to move on to our Zoom audience. And since we ended in the room with my dear colleagues from Lincoln County Regional Planning, we'll start off with Emily Raby.
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Raby. I'm the Executive Director here at the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission.
And then let's go with Martha.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Martha. I am a micro enterprise specialist with New Ventures Maine, an organization that works throughout the state to support small businesses as they start up and also provide free financial education classes through the University of Maine.
Thanks, Martha. Raynor?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Raynor. I'm the Director of Business Advising at Coastal Enterprises, which I'll get into in a little bit.
Thanks, Raynor. And then let's see, Nancy, would you mind going next?
Yes, good morning. I'm Nancy Stroney. I'm with SCORE. I work with Dan Reed, among others, to provide free mentoring, workshops, and webinars in the state of Maine. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Tony, I see you next on my screen.
Hi, my name's Tony Chappelle, and I'm opening a fiction bookshop in Wisconsin on Water Street, opening at the end of the month.
Thanks, Tony. Oscar, would you mind going next?
I'm a listener. I wasn't planning on talking today, but I'm if you want me to, I can.
That's okay. We're just doing quick introductions.
Oh, okay. My name's Oscar Matera. I'm a financial advisor with First Federal Wealth Management. It's a local bank, First Federal, out of Bath. On the side, I am recently starting a young professionals group with Dan Reed. So decided to come and see what's going on here. I want to learn more. There's a lot I don't know. So
That's great. Good to have you here, Oscar. And I see there's someone with just I don't have my glasses on, but someone with a beard and headphones on. I think you're on mute. If you want.
All right, can you hear me now? Hi, Alex. It's Michael Segura with Fuzzy Otter. Hey, Chauncey. Fuzzy Otter Creamery. We're in Whitefield, Maine. The Fuzzy Otter Creamery has been in business for 14 years, but last year my wife and I purchased it and moved to Whitefield to start or continue to make cheese. Anyway, so we love to be part of the community, and when I connected with Alex, I thought this was a great opportunity. So thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, Michael. It's great to see you. And Ned, would you mind introducing yourself? I'll give you a second. Let's go on to, go ahead, Ned.
Sure. I'm Ned Steinberger, and I have a small business here in Noblesboro, and we import electric string instruments and distribute them throughout the U.S. and also throughout the world. Even though we're a small company, we have a unique product, and that's what we do.
Excellent. Thanks, Ned. Good to have you here. Emily Braley, if you wouldn't mind going next.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Braley, and I am the program coordinator of Maine Technology Institute, or MTI's Maine Entrepreneurial Resource Corps MERC program. Lots of acronyms. Looking forward to sharing more about MTI with you all.
Thanks, Emily. Alexander, can you go next?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexander Widener. I just moved to Wiscasset, and I'm planning on opening up a shop that will sell interiors and antique items. So hopefully, watch out for me come the summer. But I'm excited to meet everyone and learn more.
Great. Great to have you here, Alexander. Sarah, would you mind going next?
Yes, hi, I'm Sarah Morley. I work for the Booth Bay Register and Wiscasset newspaper, operations manager and in advertising sales, but I'm also here on another in another capacity. We have a new startup dog treat business in Booth Bay Harbor, so trying to learn a little bit about that as well.
Great. And finally, I think, and definitely not least, Jen Merritt, would you mind going next and last?
Hi, I'm Jen Merritt from Waldoboro. My business is called Enterprises of Merit, and I work with women-owned micro businesses, usually on strategic planning as well as on overcoming obstacles. I also am the president of the Waldorf Business Association on the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission and on my town's Economic Development Committee. And I'm here to meet everybody too.
Great, thanks, Jen, and it is great to have you here too. So at that, you're going to actually turn to our panelists. I've already sort of talked about the order in which we'll go, starting with the organization that generally works at the beginning end of business development spectrum, and then moving on to sort of the organization that generally the more developed businesses might work with, although most of the organizations work with all businesses at all ends of the spectrum. So from here, we'll hear from Martha, and then we'll hear from Dan at SCORE, and then we'll hear from Jen at SBDC. Then we'll hear from Raynor at CEI, Marissa from Apex, and Emily from MTI. So Martha, you're online. If you wouldn't mind starting off.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. I am very excited to be here. I'll say that I'm filling in for a coworker. So I will pass her direct contact information into the chat at the end of this, although I'm also available. So I am, as I said before, I work for New Ventures Maine. New Ventures is an organization that's been in existence for 40 years. It started as, I forget the official title, but it was to help women homemakers transition back into for the first time the workforce in a fulfilling way, both financially and emotionally. So that's kind of where we started, and we have since opened ourselves up, and we have 3 main branches. We help people with financial education. We help people with career changes to find fulfilling careers, maybe switching later in life. And we also help in micro enterprise. So I am the micro enterprise specialist in the Southern region. My colleague Alicia is in the Mid-Coast region, which is why I'll pass her direct information. We work online, so remotely, and we also have a physical location at the UMA campus in Brunswick. It's by the SMCC campus in Brunswick too, out what's that area called? The Landing, like Brunswick Landing area. And we offer several classes. So we are a branch of UMA. We're a nonprofit branch. So we offer free classes. For business, we have kind of different levels. So we have one class that is exploring self-employment. So really at the beginning of this stage, you're thinking about what it would mean financially and for your time and quality of life to make the transition. Maybe you have a side hustle and you're looking to make the leap, but you want a little bit more support and a little bit more information. So we have a workshop about exploring self-employment. Our next level would be a 3-part workshop called Business Basics. And in Business Basics, we go through business basics. So we talk about the basics of bookkeeping and financial planning, a little bit of marketing, and you have time to kind of build out your longer plan. And then we have our 3rd tier, which is the most in-depth. We have a class that's a 12-week, 60-hour class called Venturing Forth. And in this class, it meets once a week for an entire day. It's really for people who have kind of gone through the exploring self-employment. They're ready to jump in, but they need a little bit of support developing a comprehensive business plan. This class goes through all the steps of the business plan, and you walk out at the end of the 12 weeks with a fully complete business plan that you can then use to present to financial institutions or investors or partners, or just use as a tool as you build your business. Beyond those kind of basic business classes, we also offer one-on-one advising. And in that advising, we really try to connect people with additional resources. A lot of our partners are in the room today, so we really work to meet with new business owners and kind of lead them to the next step, allow them to see where they're able to go. On a personal level, I am also a business owner and have been for quite a while now in Southern Maine. So I think also the motivation and the mission behind New Ventures is really to take that inkling of an idea and be your cheerleader through the beginning of the process, to show you that it is a possibility. There are resources available for you as you start and then as you continue to grow. Small business is super important in Maine, as you all know, but I think sometimes the barriers to entering and to starting your own business can feel really overwhelming. So at New Ventures, we really are hoping to be that first step and to lower barriers to get you all on your way. Yes.
Great, thanks, Martha. We will have time for questions at the end, it's just a reminder, so feel free to save those up. Our next person to speak will be Dan Reed from SCORE.
Yeah, thank you. I would say one of the things that really makes SCORE unique as a business resource is that all of our mentors, we have over 110 in the state of Maine. All of our mentors are volunteers. So these are folks who have been in it before. They've ran a business or they've been in a high position in a larger business. And they have decided that they're looking to give back a little bit and they want to see other people flourish the same way that they did. And they want to make sure that other people have the experience and expertise that they might not have. You don't have to make the same mistakes that they may have made in their careers or in their business. And we also have that as specific industry expertise as well. So not only are these folks incredibly experienced generally at business and running a business, they know what kind of forms you need to fill out and file. They also are, one of our mentors owns a series of sandwich shops in the Bangor area. We have other mentors who own marketing firms who might own their own small businesses. So they have specialized expertise. We have mentors who are CPAs or who were lawyers. So these folks built and honed their skills in the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Maine, and they're looking to give back. So you can get that real world experience in a variety of areas that you might need help with, no matter what your business is. And coupled with that, we also engage with a lot of local businesses and business owners to put on workshops. We put on anywhere between 10 and 13 workshops a month, depending on the month. Some are a little busier, some are not so much. And what that looks like is a local bookkeeper to the Mid-Coast doing an hour seminar on how to really get your books together and what they would want to see when you bring your books to them. We have a person who does SEO and websites who does a DIY SEO workshop for us just to give the basics of how to do SEO for your website. And then we do deep dives on other subjects. So not only that 30,000 foot view, but we do deep dives on topics like AI for small business and what are the different AI platforms that are out there. What are some of the concerns that you might have around AI, for example, or how you might want to use it and how you might want to not use it just to hedge your bets a little bit for your own information security. So the other aspect of SCORE is that we do not provide any funding. We purely provide training and mentorship. So when you come to SCORE, you know for sure that we're vested in your business, and we don't really have an angle. Our angle is to make sure that you succeed.
Great, thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. Next, we've got Jenn from SBDC.
Great, thank you. So let's say a little bit about the SBDC, that stands for the Small Business Development Center. We are one of 3 organizations in the state that receive U.S. Small Business Administration funding, along with SCORE and the Women's Business Center. Those are the 3 in the state. And primarily what we do, our mission is to help small businesses across the state start, grow, and succeed in their small business. So lots of overlap here that you're already hearing. We are statewide. We're also part of a national network of small business development centers, but in Maine, there are about 12, soon to be 14 small business advisors kind of scattered across the state. There are a couple ways that you can interface with us. We offer a lot of webinars, online training. You can check out our YouTube channel. It's very prolific in terms of, you know, a variety of topics that we kind of educate on. And then we also, kind of the crux of our work is no cost, confidential, one-on-one business advising. So that's kind of what I do most of the time, is to work one-on-one with small businesses in my region, which is Mid-Coast, and that includes this county. Yeah, let's see. And I just want to kind of highlight, we really work with folks soup to nuts. So business startup, business growth, strategic planning, financial planning. We kind of do it all in a general way. We focus on advising, so we're not doing any funding, but we can connect you with funding resources. The other thing I kind of want to highlight, I know this is like, maybe we're going to do this at the end. We also do kind of specialized kind of education. Our goal is to educate and empower small businesses in the state. And so we've partnered recently with the Island Institute to offer some specific business advising or business services around the commercial fishing industry. So I can share more information about that, but we have a lot of kind of areas that we can focus in on, and we just happen to be doing this one currently with the Island Institute. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Great. Thanks, Jen. Really appreciate the addition there on the sector-specific work you're doing. And so SBDC is very similar to our friends over at CEI. So it's always helpful to have you two kind of presenting next to one another, so you can help differentiate and also highlight the ways in which you overlap. So with that, we'll move on to Raynor from CEI.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex. Yes, and we provide, stop me if you've heard this, free one-on-one business advising. So though I do appreciate, Alex, you putting this together, and it's always really inspiring just to see the breadth of knowledge and experience available to entrepreneurs in the state. So it's fun to sit on a panel like this and just hear everybody else speak. I work at CEI, Coastal Enterprises. I'll try to focus on the differentiation that we offer rather than the similarities, which I think are by far the majority of the services offered. So CEI is a CDFI. There won't be a quiz on the acronyms. We're a Community Development Financial Institute, which is essentially a mission-driven bank. So we have a couple different departments that are working together to really focus on providing support to the community. We look at the community that we're trying to support predominantly as rural Maine, which is most of Maine, and underserved communities. We've also identified a couple key industries that we're intending to support as part of Maine's future. And those 4 industries that we really like to focus on are agriculture and food systems, aquaculture and fisheries, childcare, and then climate resilience and sustainability. So within those 4 sectors, we have technical experts who are kind of on the forefront of what's happening within those industries. And the advising team, which I oversee, works closely with those technical experts. In addition to that, we also offer workforce development, which is its own department here at CEI. And we have a lending arm, which lends to rural underserved communities in Maine and those 4 sectors. So our work is hand in glove with the other departments at CEI, and we try to bring all of those resources to bear. But it really is meeting clients where they're at and trying to figure out how we can help you get from where you are to where you want to be and what that next step looks like. My background's in financial management and turnaround, which I really enjoy, a good spreadsheet and digging into that. And so we offer a lot of services in line with that, projection, model building, understanding what the next steps of your business are or could be, and the impacts of some of your decisions on the financial bottom line of your business. Trying to think what else would be useful for you to know about CEI. It is a free service. The general advising that we provide is not linked to our lending. So we support a lot of businesses who obtain loans elsewhere, and that's wonderful. If that's what's best for the client, then that's what we want, right? We want your success. We do receive WBC funding, which is the third arm of SBA funding. There's SCORE and SBDC, and then there's the Women's Business Center. And so part of that, we offer a fair number of cohorts, which are intended to bring groups of entrepreneurs together and learn in kind of a controlled environment from one another. We also have a weatherization business lab cohort going on right now. I just wrapped up a 6-week projection seminar that I'll offer again in the fall. So we try to, as well as offer kind of one-off classes, we really like the longer classes to engage some inter-entrepreneur learning and growth. I love it, and I love helping small businesses. So
great.
Thanks
Yeah,
for inviting me.
You've helped a lot of businesses I've worked with, so I can definitely I'm a witness to that. Thank you, Raynor. I think you finished. I started to interrupt you.
I'm good. I could go on for forever, but I won't.
Okay. This is a good segue, especially around the women business stuff that you mentioned, to move on to Marissa from Apex.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Marissa Henkel, and my role is a procurement counselor, and I work with Apex Accelerators. That's a national nonprofit that was created in 1985 by Congress. It is now overseen by the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business Programs, with the goal of providing small businesses training and technical assistance so that they are capable of participating in the government marketplace so that they can sell their goods and services to the government. And here in Maine, the Maine Apex, formerly known as Maine PTAC, some people still think of us that way, but we are now Maine Apex. Our host is the Eastern Maine Development Corporation. So we are one of the programs run out of their main office in Bangor. There are 7 counselors, similar role to me, and we split the different counties of Maine and serve different regions. So Lincoln County is one of the regions that I serve. And all of our services, like the others that we've been hearing about today, we offer free services. So one-on-one counseling and that technical assistance. Our primary focus is working with businesses that are a little bit more established. Like Alex said, it's the continuum of business development. For businesses to be competitive in the government marketplace, it's generally advised that they wait a couple of years to establish some successes and then explore this more kind of complex marketplace. However, we also provide some other services to businesses that can be useful at any stage in their journey. So for example, some businesses that are looking for some government funding, whether that's in the form of grants, and they need to obtain a specific registration code, we can help with that process. We also help businesses that are in research and development and maybe aren't in the commercial sector yet, but are looking for some funding to develop their innovative process or product, and are looking for those government-led innovation programs. So all of those types of businesses we can support. And the different types of services that we offer are pretty extensive. So like I mentioned, those registrations, specifically with Systems of Award Management, or SAM.gov. That's a big one that lots of businesses run into. Even if you're not into government contracting and just looking for some government funding, you might come up against needing that registration. Similarly, even businesses that are doing government contracting, or perhaps you're not doing government contracting yet, but you're looking to provide some more credibility to your business, we assist with the SBA certifications for different socioeconomic businesses. So that's the woman-owned small business certification, the veteran or service disabled veteran-owned small business, also 8A, which is minority-owned, and Hub Zone, historically underutilized business zone. And some of the areas throughout Maine are designated in that way, and that can show just another layer of credibility to your business and in the government marketplace, and can be very beneficial. And for businesses who are looking to either enter the government marketplace, we help with identifying opportunities. So whether they're looking at smaller state or local contracts, or perhaps they have more experience and are looking for more federal contract opportunities, we have a service called Bid Match, which entails creating a profile to describe your business, and the service searches many different procurement portals and filters them and delivers email notifications of opportunities aligned with your capabilities. We also provide advice on market research in the government marketplace and developing specific marketing tools for working with or selling to the government. And that so we can provide different support for using different databases, looking at, should I sell to the state level or should I sell to the federal level? For me. Another thing that we do a lot is helping businesses actually just read what that solicitation is, so they can understand what is this asking of me, and then responding to those RFPs or notices for procurement. We provide advice on different compliance requirements. Specifically, small businesses doing business with the government might have some cybersecurity requirements that we can help point them in the right direction, and give them referrals for specific specialists in that area, because cybersecurity is not my specialty. And then post-award support. So after winning a government contract, how do I invoice the government? What if there are any modifications to my contract? So we provide support all along the way. And the government buys all sorts of goods and services in all quantities. So even if that isn't necessarily a direction that you've considered for your business, it might be worth considering. We work with businesses in all different industries throughout Maine and at different stages and sizes of their business. So whether they're like just beginning in government contracting or feel like they're more advanced, we can still support at any time through that continuum. But some examples of the industries that we work with that are involved in government contracting, either locally or at the state level or the federal level. We work with manufacturers of all different kinds of products, construction and engineering firms, but also smaller like landscapers. Maybe it's a person with some pieces of machinery and they are going to maintain the grounds of a government facility. That's a government contract. IT service providers, human resources professionals, different environmental consulting firms, different sorts of consulting firms, and janitorial businesses. That is something that is not really, but when you think government contracting, it's not your first thought, but there are a lot of opportunities. We've also helped different specialty foods in the state of Maine. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bixby chocolate. That's one of our success stories. So that's just to say we can, government contracting is one of those things where you might not have even considered it for yourselves, but there's a lot of different opportunities for different industries. So if that sounds like something of interest, we can begin a conversation. And really, when I start a conversation with a new client, we just try to determine, what are your business goals? Is it that you just want to obtain an SBA certification? And if that's our purpose of working together, we can work together just until we complete that task. Or if you want to create a government marketing plan and have technical assistance throughout that journey, we can discuss what level is a good fit and Do you want to be a prime contractor? Do you want to be a subcontractor? And all of the processes involved there. And we also, like many of the partners here, we also provide regular workshops. Most of ours are virtual, although we try to hold things in person. Those can all be found on our website. And we do have a matchmaking event coming up in May. Are we going to have time to share what's coming? Yes, sure, what's coming up later. Okay. All right.
Great. Well,
Thank you,
thank you,
Alex.
Marissa. I knew Apex when you were PTAC, when I was working with farmers who wanted to sell to schools. So
Yes.
always find it interesting that you're here every Monday in our building, and how much I appreciate the work that Apex does, and that it's often lesser known. So thank you. And last but not least, we will move on to Emily Braley from MTI.
Great, thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Emily, and I am the MERC Program Coordinator for Maine Technology Institute, or MTI. Before jumping into MERC, I just wanted to chat briefly about MTI and what we do. We are a state-funded nonprofit that was developed to support Maine's economic growth through investing in technology startups within the state of Maine. So we support the state's 7 designated technology sectors. More information about each of these sectors is on our website, but I'll try and rapid fire list them to see if one of them resonates with you. We support information technology, biotech, environmental tech, precision manufacturing, composites and advanced materials, agriculture technology, forestry technology, and also aquaculture technology. And I may have missed one of those, but I think that covers most of our tech sectors. So for businesses who are within one of these sectors and have an innovation, MTI can support these businesses in the form of grants, loans, and occasionally equity investments. Unlike some of the other organizations, MTI does not typically offer direct business support in terms of mentorship and workshops. Most of our activities are in funding, and we serve a really critical gap for businesses developing new technologies and products within the state. We really come in at that early R&D and commercialization phase to help companies develop their prototypes to test their products within the market at a time when they're not bankable and can't look for financing elsewhere. MTI fills that R&D gap. So that's a little bit about MTI. We have multiple programs to support the core of our work. One of those being the Maine Entrepreneurial Resource Corps, or MERC program, which is what I coordinate. And this program is developed to help Maine businesses access critical technical consulting in an affordable way. And we do this through utilizing our database of vetted Maine-based consultants to facilitate short-term 3-month or less projects between MTI-eligible businesses and these vetted consultants. And if a business and consultant put forward a project that is approved by MTI, we will pay for 50% of the project fee up to $20,000. This $20,000 is cumulative and resets after 2 years. So within a 2-year time frame, a business can work on one large $40,000 consulting project that we'd pay for half of, or split it up into multiple smaller projects, like 4 $10,000 projects that we'd pay for $5,000 of, or even 10 $4,000 projects that we'd pay for $2,000 of. It's really up to the business and what their needs are. To be eligible for MERC, a business must meet MTI standard eligibility criteria. Again, more information is on our website, and it's typically easier to talk about MTI eligibility in a one-on-one conversation, which I'm happy to have with any of the businesses in the room. But it typically falls into, or a business must be within one of the state's 7 designated technology sectors, having plans to positively impact Maine's economy, most commonly in the form of creating high-quality jobs, but also improving on infrastructure within the state and attracting investment to the state. The business must also be pursuing an innovation, and then be Maine-based and have access to matching funds, as most of our awards do require a 1-to-1 match. That's kind of rapid fire overview of MTI and MERC. Again, I'm happy to chat with anyone about these programs and hope that you do reach out if you have interest in MTI and what we do. And I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Emily. I really appreciate that. Another great resource that's out there. So we've now heard from all of our panelists. Thank you. Those were really great presentations. Before we get to questions and answers, I did want to give an opportunity for our panelists just to, if there was anything that they might have forgotten to mention or anything else they wanted to say before we moved on to questions and answers.
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the SBDC's YouTube page. SCORE also has a really good YouTube page, but SBDC has a phenomenal YouTube page as well. So if you are looking for any resources, like, you know, after this, you just want to look up some interesting topics, I would definitely recommend that.
Great, thanks, Dan, appreciate that. So it is now 11:43, we're 2 minutes early. If anybody knows me, I love sticking to an agenda. But at that, it is the Q&A time, and I will say that I do have a schedule to wrap up at noon, but we have a lot of snacks, and I welcome everyone to stay and network, because this is as much an info session about our panelists as it is just a general networking opportunity for businesses to talk to one another. Our chambers are here, and also any panelists that are able to stay, no pressure. So at that, I would like to open it up for questions. Who'd like to kick it off? Go ahead, Jim.
I probably have a taboo subject here, but from what I understand, when I read, the third biggest, I don't know, we'll call it agricultural industry in Maine right now is marijuana. And I know all that conflict and federal banking, all that kind of stuff is taking place. I found as a business owner originally, everything was taboo. Small business development, even though a guy told me if you did a separate corporation, you could get away from that, because I'm a landlord of a weed grower and a retail operation. But it's only a small piece of my property. So originally it was tough. They seem to be winking and blinking now. But I'm just concerned in terms of, I think it's an environment that needs to be maintained and controlled. So I don't know how anybody goes about doing that, but if it's your third biggest industry, it seems like somebody ought to be paying attention to the future of that. And then aside from the other coin is businesses that are popping, I don't know how they're doing it, what they're, financing. Is small business development, if you do a separate corporation, is it viable? But then you go to the bank and they say it's not. CEI is even worse in terms of marijuana industry, I believe. Maybe they've changed their patent too. But anyway, that's an aside for the whole community and business industry of Maine, in my opinion, that maybe you can't talk about it, or you gotta talk about it in a back room, I don't know, but I think it's something that should be out there, and at least as a sideline, somebody ought to be paying attention to. So outside of that, hey, I'm a small business owner that's been struggling for a long time, and I think I have a unique opportunity, and this is the year this place is gonna make or break it. Emily's been out there. So hey, I'm hoping that between financing, I'm already working with school Ed Ross.
Oh, yeah.
He's been great. Mainly as a sounding board, I would say. Listening to my grievances, and then we work on solutions. But anyway, I'll be attending these, and hopefully anything else I can do to anybody. I've certainly have 8 years of experience of small business in Maine that could be useful to other people. So that's all I really have to say. And anybody's welcome to come out there and check the place out. Emily's been there. You should come out. And I mentioned that date, May 3rd, because we're gonna have another opening, and I think it's
I'm not familiar with your business. Will you tell us in just like?
It's LaVarn, it's right, it's LaVarn, it's called LaVarn, it's right in the middle of Jefferson.
Is it an event space or?
Yeah, right now it's a certified sanctified by the fire marshal and the town as an event center. And it's a huge, like I say, I think it's the biggest barn in Maine. It's still standing. That's useful. Post and beam construction, 3 stories high, 100 feet by 50 feet. It's, you know, a gentleman's barn built in 1903. So it's quite unique, and attached to it is I have other business partners that are interested in doing a laundromat, a commercial kitchen. It's 40. The complex has 48,000 square feet. Between the barn and the other space I rented, I still got 30,000 square feet of whatever.
Are you still looking to do, I think at some point I read that you're going to do a farmer's market or something like that one day of the week?
I was checking around, talked to the SNAP program, and what we decided we're gonna try and do is, we're gonna call it a community market. I'm not getting into a farmer's market in the sense
Right.
of the, but they are an institution.
Smart call.
Doing a community market on Thursday nights from 4 to 7. Sort of the off time of Friday and Saturday when people are working. I went to a lot of farmers markets and people were struggling to get there to do stuff. So, and it's open, not just could be an artist. We don't care. Bring a table, a chair, take it home with you. Thank you very much. I have 3 acres out there with a pavilion, and it's a great place. You get a chance to check out the barn, and I'm even thinking of a winter market in the barn at some point in time. It's a beautiful facility that should be used by the community. It blows my mind. I'm sure it's partly my fault, but it's gonna open up one way or another now. So here we are, and I'm looking forward to, showing it to everybody.
I think, did Oscar have a question?
Yes. So, my second year as a financial advisor, I've met with quite a few small businesses, and I would say half of them are in the general contracting space, other half are various other type of retail, other small businesses. I have met some of the SCORE people, and that's the only organization here I feel like I understand pretty well. I would love to check out your websites and research the other ones. But I have mentioned SCORE to quite a few of my customers who aren't they need help, but it's not something I can necessarily provide for them. And I don't think I've ever encountered anyone who knew of SCORE before I had mentioned to them. And I was wondering if all of you, what is your general sense of awareness of your organizations in the small business owners? Do you feel like a lot of people know that these resources are available or have a good understanding of what you do for them?
Yeah, Pat.
Well, as a chamber, our newsletter comes out every week and we advertise SCORE every week. So, and I also put them posting on our website. So I feel like, well, we're doing our part. We also share it on Facebook. And so I'm not sure what else as far as, advertising opportunities. I think we try our best. We've done chamber chats and, I think that we try and push it out there because we recognize how important it is to our small businesses. And I've certainly enjoyed our conversation. And in fact, all of the organizations that are here, to me, it's very important to get that information out. If there's some way that we can do it better, more, be happy, very receptive.
I wasn't trying to pick on SCORE in particular, but my question is more of how do you guys feel that your organizations are understood by the communities you serve? It's a general opinion because I don't want to keep pushing. Not like pushing them, but I do try to make my customers aware of these resources, and I do feel that most of them were not. Granted, a lot of people I've talked to weren't very organized in the first place, and I'm not going to go too much into that. But just in general.
To answer that question, may I jump in?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Marissa. Yes,
So,
please.
Oscar, just in terms of Maine Apex, that is an issue that we have come up against quite a bit. Alex mentioned we're one of the lesser known business service provider resources. And the ways that we try to raise awareness and make our services available to the public are by doing precisely this, having more relationships with the different municipalities, the Council of Governments, the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission, that have those direct contacts in the community and know the businesses of their towns better than I do. As I cover 5 counties, it's harder for me to get very familiar just with one town. So it's really important for me to be present at these types of events, working with different chambers. It was great going on to the chamber chat with Pat about a year ago now. And working with the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments out of Fairfield has helped kind of expand some of our presence. But if you are asking Oscar about needing more referrals, yes, I think that businesses could benefit from learning about our services. And like I mentioned, I think many businesses have never considered government contracting as a potential revenue stream, and it could open a brand new door for them. Or they might just want to have a conversation and decide if it's a good fit.
Thanks. Great points, Marissa. Partnerships and collaborations are where it's at. Jen, I see you've had your hand raised for a little while, and then we'll get on to, I think, Dan. Jen, did you have something to add to the conversation?
Yeah, that over all these years, my observation is that most small business owners are frantically busy, and it's hard to catch their attention unless they're in crisis. And then sometimes you can get their attention of, here, try this, try that. The other thing, I personally love learning, so I've taken classes in all these different entities. But again, small business owners are very busy and often have no bandwidth for taking classes, which I think they're fantastic. Startups, on the other hand, are much more easy to get their attention. And maybe that's something that I know on the Waldoboro Business Association website, we have links to different resources in the state. But I see huge value that goes unused sometimes with all of these different organizations. Incredible masses of knowledge that could help people overcome crisis as well as smooth out the bumps. So I'm not exactly sure how to get people's attention, as we have the same challenge, just in a municipality of getting people's attention for issues that concern them. And so I think it's our biggest challenge in Maine or anywhere probably.
Great point, Jen. And I feel like my role at Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission is sort of an example of relationships and listening. And I'm out there meeting businesses as much as I can throughout the county, and just having that relationship so that when something does come up, they know to come to you. And I see a lot of head nodding from our friends in Booth Bay. And I know that, like Pat, other people who are sort of the node probably work that way.
I would say it's funny, what she was saying was and Oscar, you're doing the right thing by telling them, because they need that one-on-one. They need somebody personally to tell them, because as Kirsten and I, we like pretty much directors up and down are like, wow, you guys are really pushing it out in Booth Bay, because she's amazing at her job. And so we have lots of stuff. Like recently we've put all the SCORE education out. So I have someone I'm personally connected to that I know is struggling. And I was like, hey, did you see those classes that SCORE's offering? And they said, oh, I opened them, but then I didn't, because they're in the middle of, like she said, they're busy and they're just trying to keep their head above water. And I'm like, okay, but I really think you would benefit from these. So it's really just sort of, it's pushing them. It's that one-on-one and pushing them. So that's where Kirsten and I, we try to have that those relationships with our members so that we can find out like who needs this and where can, and that's why we're here today, because we need to know like where do we send each person, like what's going to be the best fit for them. So all of us doing that for whoever we come in contact with is really like caring and giving them the information, to that little push to be like, here, this will help you with that.
Yeah, I'd also just hop in real quickly. Sorry, Dad. And then I'd lower the bar a little bit for that referral too. I think it's such a collaborative ecosystem. I was just thinking over the last week, I've sent clients to SCORE, the SBDC, and MTI, just because I understand what the client's need is and how those organizations might be a better fit, right? And that goes both ways. So it's not really what is the best advisor for the client. It's what's the first advisor for the client, and then get them, moving through that ecosystem.
Yes.
A part of it for SCORE is as a volunteer service, the majority of the funds that we have go back into, making sure that volunteers are supported as possible to provide the best service possible. So we don't necessarily have a large freestanding marketing budget. And so we do rely on things like community partners and our volunteers to get out into the community to let folks know about us. In areas such as Lincoln County, that can be a little difficult when the majority of our mentors are in the Portland area. So trying to grow the folks who want to be mentors and train them on how to be good mentors in rural areas can help spread that word as well.
Still on this topic that Oscar rose, I think there's a pretty important role too for like town offices to play. Any of the businesses launching, hopefully, maybe, are filling out a business license application. Like there are lots of little points of contact, right? And then you had conversations with the code enforcement officer, opening your shop, and Tony, I think you're doing electrical work, maybe, right, or something. You're doing renovations, maybe the code enforcement officer's there, or there are all these little points of contact where like people could be nudged toward this information. Be so simple, but I think it's really, like some sort of good paper version of this meeting and a one-on-one conversation of like, here's a list of these organizations and the resources that they have to give you, and like let's just have a little quick conversation and talk through them while you're dropping off your sign permit and paying your $40 for your sign.
That's
I was just thinking the exact same thing, where if I just, I just know SCORE, if I had a list of all of these and I'd make sure that I'm with First Federal, it's the smallest bank in Maine. We don't really have a ton of, auxiliary resources for our business customers. So rather than have them seek other places, I'd love to, be able to help them, even though it's not something we can directly handle. So the place is small enough where I talk to the president of the bank pretty regularly. So I've had this the other, I say, hey, make sure all of our loan officers, all of our lead tellers are aware of this list, and then can just disseminate it out whenever it comes up. I think would be really helpful. Does any other like financial institutions do that? Because, any business needs a bank. And I feel like that's like a great place to find people. Do you have any partnerships like that?
Well, if I may say that I ran into Alex kind of at random, and I'm a small business owner, and I was going through a very rough period when I met Alex, and when I heard about what his work is about and all, I made that connection with him. And first of all, I want to commend you, Alex, for sticking with me and bringing me to this meeting. I think it's exactly, if you want to take these services and make them more broadly applied or whatever and utilized, then the kind of personal follow-up and so on that you've done with me is really made things. And this has been a very important meeting for me. I've learned about MTI that I knew nothing about, and I'm fascinated with that, and I will be following up.
Great, yeah. Thanks, Ned. Appreciate that. I didn't pay Ned to say that. But it's true, the personal follow-up's important, and I think municipalities are often the first face that businesses see, and that's something that we try to impress upon them in the county at least. So good points. Go ahead, Chauncey.
Yeah, I want to kind of remark upon this general conversation, but also I have a question. And I think business, just like humanity, is inherently more interdisciplinary than we really recognize. Like there are so many facets from the construction perspective to the planning and town approval perspective, but touching on what Eric said, to find the fundamental touching points of small business, be it the educational track that leads to it, the municipal ordinances that need to be passed on a town level, or the local insurance companies or banks. Because really, when you talk on a local level, working with a local bank, they should be able to offer you that extra special assistance, which is, hey, go check out SCORE. Hey, we have this. And like those, I've started a couple businesses. I know a lot of friends who have business owners, and I hate to say it, I don't consume the same media that the Chamber of Commerce has put out, and I don't see these things, and I consume a lot of media. So like figuring out what those, for my generation and younger, because that's the future of small business in Maine, what those can be. But insofar as the interdisciplinary nature of small business, I'd love to know if there's any good resources for how grants can be better understood, because most people I know that get really good grants have such a tenuous tie to whatever that grant is. So like really, like I think people are immediately siloing these grants. Like, oh, I don't do agriculture. You're a restaurant owner. You engage with the agricultural sector in a way that isn't conventional. And I think that so many people are pushed away from that. Like you're involved in forestry. You're a spoon carver, and you can apply. These things are much grayer than you realize, but like the acronyms and these like really heady titles kind of lead you to believe that they're not. And I'm wondering if there are resources to help better understand and elucidate the tenuous ties of like grants. You know, like because really you have much more at your fingertips than you realize. And that's something I've always had a really hard time with, poring over the grants that are available. Like, oh, does this somehow loosely fit into my industry as a new barn owner? Like that is so ambiguous. And I'm sure there are a lot more grants that you could find from historical to historically underutilized businesses by the government, the HUBs program, which is probably something none of us have ever heard of. Like, where do we find that information? That's what I think I'd like to know more about.
Well, you can always start with me, so you have my card. That's my first recommendation. And I think Raynor put something in the chat. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a perennial problem, honestly. The grants are used up as quickly as they come out. So as, you know, a generalist or somebody who's in the industry and the ecosystem, trying to keep on top of it is a challenge. One thing we did put together is the link I dropped in here. It's a resource guide to grants that we know are recurring. And so I think we broke it down by industry and sector, so you can kind of, you know, narrow it in. If you're a restaurant, what are the available ones? There's a lot of smallish grants out there for artists in particular. It's a starting point, right? These are things that change regularly. There's also a lot of grants out there that are marketing campaigns disguised as grants that are really just created by larger corporations to get a lot of information via applicants in. So there's risk associated to it as well. Yeah, happy to touch on that or build on that. This link that I included, we updated at the end of last year, and we're scheduled to update it again this spring. So we try to keep on top of it as best we can.
Thanks, Raynor. And there's a registration page going around on a clipboard. If you haven't signed in, I'll be sending emails out to all of you with a link to the recording of this, notes, contact information for everybody. So I want you to, if you're in person, I will connect you with the links that were shared online. It is 12:07, and I want to honor folks' time. And maybe we can have just one closeout comment from Jenn before we just end with sort of the upcoming events and grant opportunities.
The thing that, because I was really interested in the gentleman's comments that are next to Mike with the blue shirt. Yep. The thing that is most difficult for our small businesses really is they aren't familiar with the language we use a lot in these kinds of describing these kinds of services. And they don't know what problems they have fit what solutions might be available. And every time we can give people examples of the issues or problems that we can help with in our different organizations, the better the person will resonate with, oh yeah, that's me. That's me. I need them. And we don't, again, we reach out, we try to broadcast as much as we can. However, we're missing people because of a variety of things. The language we use, the media where we choose to put the information, as well as helping them identify what their problems might be that can be solved in the language that they understand. Just that was my point.
That's a really good point, Jen. Appreciate you bringing that up. And so we're a little late and I really apologize. So if you have to leave, please do. But this is the time we're just going to do a quick overview of what's upcoming from our panelists. And we can go in the same order that we did. So this again is education opportunities, grants, etc. So Martha, if you wouldn't mind starting off.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go on our website, you can see upcoming classes. But one that I would like to highlight is that on April 1st, we are having our next cohort of Venturing Forth, which is that 12-week, 60-hour kind of in-depth business plan building class. And so if you're in that stage where you are ready to go, but needing kind of something solid to present to, maybe financial institutions or many of our participants have used it to help apply for grants. I would encourage you to send in your information and join us for that class.
Thanks, Martha. Dan, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, just, we have over 20 workshops coming up in the next month and a half for SCORE. So just to give a small snapshot of some of the workshops that we do have coming up, we have email marketing for small business, starting your own business, profitability for farms, unlocking the power of AI for small business, bookkeeping, business bank loan application tips, and Maine paid family medical leave.
Great, thanks. And those are really great workshops. So I will say that. Jen, what do you have?
Yeah, I just want to make a plug for the SCORE workshops too. I do those a lot myself. Yeah, in addition to our, again, I'm facilitating a partnership between the Island Institute and the SBDC specific to the lobstering industry. But I just cheated and looked on our website. You can look on our website too, but we have one tomorrow. We have a webinar tomorrow about motivating a small team. We have an estimated tax webinar the following week for small business. And then we have looks like we have a health insurance webinar happening in March as well. And then we have an AI workshop upcoming and a mobile food business webinar next month. So check out our website, and all of our webinars are posted on the YouTube video. So you don't have to take the webinar necessarily. You can watch it later. So,
which are so great. So thanks for sharing those resources. Raynor, do you have anything to share? Are you there?
I did the same thing Jen did and immediately just pulled up our website. So I'm cheating as well. So you can click on that link. I put it in the chat and see, it's a pretty broad range, some AI stuff, hiring a first employee, brand development. One thing that's not on here that I wanted to put out though is we're going to have a risk mitigation and analysis presentation in the next month and a half to 2 months for coastal businesses that depend on tourism from our northern neighbor. And if you expect that to be impacted by the tariffs and the tit and tat back and forth, what does that look like for your business, and developing that through projections and understanding how to address that concern proactively rather than waiting through the summer and seeing what happens. So it's not up yet, but it should be soon. And just wanted to put that out there as well. Excited for that one.
Great, thanks, Raynor. That's really important. So looking forward to that going up. I'm glad you mentioned it. Marissa.
Yeah, so similarly to these other organizations, all of our events are posted on our website. And we typically run several virtual workshops a month on different topics related to government contracting. And they can be kind of specific or broader. For example, we have an upcoming one about selling to the state of Maine, which is pretty practical for small businesses who want to maybe start in that, and doing business with Maine. Also, like just marketing in the government or marketplace is one of that we have upcoming as well. And then we have organized a matchmaking event for May 15th. I believe it's also listed on our events tab. And the matchmaking event is an opportunity for small businesses to meet with government buyers as well as prime contractors, and learn about their specific needs and how they could potentially offer a solution, to develop those relationships and hopefully find potential customers. So that event is upcoming and we hope to get a good turnout from people across the state. Everyone's going to meet at the Augusta Civic Center and have a full day of networking, matchmaking, and some small business resource workshops as well.
Great, thanks, Marissa. And I will be there. If anyone wants to carpool, we can carpool. And last but not least, again, Emily from MTI.
Awesome. So I forgot to mention this, but all of MTI's funding programs are rolling, so they're available year round. But we do have some special opportunity awards coming up. You may have recalled from November 2024, the state of Maine voted on a 25 million research and development bond. That program is now under development by MTI. Our team is actively working on rolling out a program, and we hope to have something available in May. So please stay tuned for that. You can subscribe to MTI's newsletter, which is probably the best way to get information about this funding opportunity. Also, Merck, the consulting program, is rolling out a new branch of our support called Merck AI, which is intended to help educate businesses on AI. We're giving companies access to Coursera, which is an online learning platform, their generative AI course catalog. So businesses that are MTI eligible can apply for a license to have access to Coursera for about 4 to 5 months and learn about AI and how to streamline it into their operations, their marketing, their sales, etc. And that's what's coming up for MTI. And I would definitely suggest looking at our newsletter because that's where we have all of our big announcements, funding opportunities, programs, etc.
Thank you, Emily. And that was a great way to sort of close out. Thanks everybody who's here. And I want to send a special thanks to our panelists who joined today. Like I said, you can always just make me your first stop, but feel free to reach out to any of these folks individually. We're all here to help and we're all here together. So thank you, everybody, and have a good day. Until next time.
Thank you, Alex.